Okay, we're live. Lisa, thank you for joining me tonight.
Yay, so excited. Nice and warm in Florida as opposed to New York. We're freezing here.
Probably nice and warm in Miami, where we're going to meet in January, or the end of January, I should say, but not so much here right now.
Really? Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. I thought all of Florida is amazing. Well, compared to New York City, I bet it is.
Well, yes, compared to where you're at in New York, for sure, it's probably a lot warmer. So I'm
Exactly.
going to check and see that we are actually live on my page. Let me do a refresh over here. And if you guys are watching, you want to join us in the comments, please give a shout out and let us know where you're watching from so that we can say hello. And let's see. There we are. We are live on Facebook, Lisa.
Woohoo. This is the
Okay.
first time I'm actually doing live on Facebook, so it's quite exciting. I have no idea what I'm doing now.
Well,
So there's Denise Levy there.
I feel privileged and honored to be the first one to pull you on Facebook Live for sure.
Yep. And you know what? It's fascinating that you were able to do that because it is, I think, the spontaneity that you didn't let me think about it at all. You're like, let's do it tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I'm in. Like, I'm great. But this is really cool because back in the day, as you know, we didn't have this sort of stuff. So I'll be really curious how this works out.
Yeah, and it's fun, and like you said, it's the spontaneity of it. To be able to go live whenever you want to is really cool, and it's just super interesting to me to be able to pull people on and just say hello and share stories about matchmaking and what we do.
Yeah, definitely. I have a really good story to inspire folks about the power of matchmaking. So, um, being in this career made me so courageous because I'm constantly having to approach people that, I don't know, 15 years ago or so, I was like, okay, I'm ready to get married again. I was divorced and I was like, I'm going to go out. Sure enough, I spot a guy. I know he seems cute and cool, and I start talking to him. We sit down, asks me to marry him 20 minutes later. And I was like, actually, I would go to Vegas and marry you like you suggested, but I have a date coming in from Canada this weekend. So can I let you know next week? So the next week I said, you know what? Yeah, let's go to Vegas and get married. And we were married in under 2 months. 13 and a half years ago. No, it's actually almost 14 years now. Isn't that
That
amazing?
is
That's short,
amazing.
right? So it just shows you, you know, that it does teach you the skill of being able to really assess what makes sense for people. So the hardest thing I think that matchmakers have is how to assess for yourself. But apparently I'm good at it. So I always say, you know, matchmaking is not only changing the world, helping people find love, but it's helpful to us finding love, or if we're in a relationship, I learn every day how to better my marriage. So it's like the most amazing career I've ever been lucky enough to be introduced to.
And I agree because, some of the things that we see professionally carry over into our personal life, and it's because we're surrounded by people who are single and dating and developing relationships. We can actually learn from them and carry that over to help our personal lives. So it's really an interesting field.
Yeah, it's amazing because it's sort of like a think tank. It's like being in school constantly, really assessing what are people's obstacles, what's their personal story, and I get so engaged and like I'm addicted to hearing people's life story and what's their pain points. Are they isolated? Why are they single? Do they want to be single? Is it a challenge? What's going on? And I literally cannot believe this is our job. Like, I went to grad school and got my master's in social work, as you did. And I'm like, oh my God, like now I'm actually getting paid to be in grad school, learning about love, but it's lighter and it's more exciting and satisfying than any other social work job could ever be. And I just have to pinch myself because I still have like Sunday night blues, and I'm like, Sunday night blues, I'm so excited that it's like Monday morning tomorrow, I get to go to work, you know? So it's unbelievable. It's so exciting. And to your point, in terms of learning about relationships, it's amazing to also look at people who come to us that are divorced or have breakup and learning like what went wrong, what happened, and looking at both sides of the story, which matchmakers, I think, different from coaching, get the privilege of hearing both sides. And I think therapists and social workers and coaches only hear one side. So I feel like you're crippled in a way. Whereas if you're hearing both sides, my God, the growth in that and the help with communication in that and really understanding in your own relationships, there's another side to this. There's my opinion. There's his opinion. Somewhere in the middle we meet, and I need to understand where he's coming from. And I think we're not brought up to think that way. We're thinking like, what's my perspective? So I'd say that, yeah, matchmaking is like really brings that to the forefront of listening and understanding without judgment. So many different perspectives. It's awesome.
Well, one of the things that we share, you mentioned the similar background in social work. And the thing that I like about what we do as a profession in matchmaking, is totally opposite of what we were taught in school. In social work and say counseling, therapy, things of that nature, we're taught to lead people to their problems. And I know you personally and myself as well, we're both pretty direct women. And so with matchmaking, we don't have to lead people to their problems. So we can be very direct and say to someone, okay, this is what I see, and what are we going to do about it? And so we can be very direct with people in a caring way. We don't have to be, harsh about it by any means, but we can use that type of educational background to really get to the bottom line and focus people on what they need to work on in order to be successful in their social life.
Yeah, I think that that's exactly it. And I think sometimes it's frustrating not to be able to do that in a career. And then suddenly you are hired as an expert in someone's life that's the most important piece of their life. And you're able to really, like, the more you do it, the more you assess. And even though, like, we've both been doing this like 20 plus years, you're looking at each person as an individual and learning from every single person. I feel like no matter how many patterns I'm aware of, I see each person is an individual and learn pieces of who they are. And then I think, like, what an honor it is to be allowed into someone's life in this way. And people are so hungry to be heard and understood that it's shocking what people will talk about. You get like top people in the world coming in and being lost and saying, like, I look to you for guidance. I mean, my God, how amazing is that? And I honestly thought I would never be good at anything. And suddenly, over the years, you get better and better and better, and you feel so empowered to empower others. It's really a gift, and I just don't know how lucky we were to have found this profession, honestly.
Well, I can't imagine doing anything else. And, honestly, I thought, okay, well, this has been 20 years now. What else in the world could I possibly do? And I cannot come up with anything that I would rather be doing.
I know, it's funny. Today, right before we got on, I asked each of the gals that work with me, what would you do if I gave you $1 billion? And they're like, I don't know, I love what I do. I don't know if I would do anything differently. And that is a testament to, like, well, maybe you wouldn't have to charge for it. I don't know, but what would you do? Passionate about changing people's lives and change their pattern. That's amazing.
Well, Lisa, can you, for people that don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about your company and exactly what you do? Because I know you're involved with your own matchmaking company, but I also do want to promote the Institute a little bit as well, because the program that you created just amazes me, and I'm just so grateful there's somebody that stood up in the industry and really took charge in that aspect as far as the Institute.
Thank you so much. It's been a lot of work, but basically coming from a social work background where I went and I got my master's and I had just a whole ability to collaborate and go to ongoing classes and really have a community that was solid in learning practice, connection, inspiration. So somehow in the late 90s, I was like, matchmaking, oh my God, that's a career. I can't even believe it. I remember dancing around my apartment because I've always been obsessed setting up all my friends. And like, I'm nosy, but I also feel like people should never be alone that don't want to be alone, that it's a crime, that people are using their life in a way that they don't want to use it. So I've always been obsessed by it. So when I found this career, I couldn't believe it. So all of a sudden I go in and I'm like gung-ho, crickets. No one wanted to collaborate with me. No one wanted to share supposed secrets of the trade. And I was like, man, this is not regulated. It's nothing that in terms of schooling and community. And so in 2003, I was like, a school needs to be created, you know? And like we got a state, we're a state licensed school, the only state licensed school in the world that teaches matchmaking. And so basically we started that, and a lot of matchmakers got pissed at us that we were training competition. And I was like, you know what? There's plenty of single people around the world to go around. It will never dry up. Our business will never dry up. And so as the industry continued and we had conferences and we set an international advisory committee, code of ethics internationally, ongoing conferences and education, I realized, I can't believe this, but we actually see the industry changing from competition to collaboration. And I feel like it's been such hard work balancing the Institute with my own personal matchmaking company, and not to mention my kids and my husband and all this stuff. But I really feel this whole thing is a mission to spread the love. And that's our tagline with the Institute. Spread the love. If there's a way that we could train people to then influence singles to learn how to have healthy long-term relationships, we could change the world. We could change the divorce rate. We could change the way people function. Happier people are more productive people. Less anger, less war. Look at like what's going on. Like you have too many single men and you're screwed. But basically, I have been incredibly devoted to creating an industry that will change the world. Like no small picture here. And in terms of so I'm the founder and president of the Matchmaking Institute. And we have like a few live trainings a year. We're having one in Miami in a few weeks, and we have New York City in April, and London is in the fall. And I so encourage, it's interesting at the trainings, I feel like people come, they're like, wow, I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't sure whether I should come. And they're like, I can't believe, like, I had no idea. It's a change your life experience. Like, people come and get transformed. They leave their job that they're trapped in a cubicle, or they're unhappy to go to work. And they're like, this is a possibility. And we literally help them to create an entirely new life that is a happy life, a connected life. I thought that I would never make more than $40,000 or $50,000 a year. My company makes over $500,000 with balancing both companies. I mean, it's unbelievable how transforming it is to people, and how you can finally kind of take care of yourself as well along the path, because it is an intense job. It's an emotionally intense job, and you need to be paid for it. So you could actually have like a dream career, be financially rewarded, and have a community of international people that are just as obsessed with helping people find love, you know? So my other company is Lisa Clampett Matchmaking, which was before called VIP Life. I hated that name. I changed it finally. I've had this company for, I guess, like 17 years. And I know how I felt when I was getting a divorce. I felt so lost, and I would try and force my friends to set me up or to talk, but everyone has their own lives. So I was like, what would I want if I were in New York City in particular, which is the most insane city in terms of manic ADD? What would I
And being
want?
single.
Oh my God, it's so hard. And I
Yeah.
would want like a place to go where they made me tea and talked about love and everything that I wanted, etc. And like really looked at the holistic person. And that's what we created, is a real boutique matchmaking company focused in New York City to help people find love. It's the high end because it's very New York City, and I was born and raised here, so it so makes sense for me. But I find that if you do that well and you build your business ethically, you can balance other things in your life. And the fact that I'm able to run an extremely successful matchmaking company, an international company like the Institute, and raise a family, it just shows like with this career, you can have it all. You know, I've never heard of another career that you can have it all like this. Flexible schedule, be your own boss, create your own rules, and more importantly, like really represent a style that is you and what makes sense for you. I'm nurturing, you're, more business savvy, you're more directive, whatever it is. You take it and you create something that's yours. And therefore, when you're successful, it's you, it's your personality, it's your drive, it's your passion that is actually creating change in people's lives. So I've never, ever seen anything like it. And the fact that 95% of people are unhappy with their career makes me so sad, because we're working long hours, you know? So, just as we found each other and we collaborate with so many other matchmakers, it's one of the most unique communities that I've ever seen. Whereas like you go to a conference, which is a business conference, and everyone's like all serious. You go to one of our conferences, oh my God, you're from London, you're from Singapore, yay! Finally Japan came, it's so exciting, and it's so kind of similar personalities of curiosity and passion for helping people change, a real passion for believing in love, really believing that if someone wants to find love, they should find love. It's really sad when someone's alone and lonely, and it's an epidemic now, like divorce and loneliness. It's just, it crushes me to think that. And that's why I feel like the more people that train and become ethical matchmakers, the more resources are out there to let people know they don't have to be alone. They can go to a matchmaker. They can get someone that's their wingman, their coach, their friend and confidant. And in no other realm in our world do we have someone like that. So I think everyone should have a matchmaker. And that's really my drive, is to help people open up this career, but really do it right, ethically, with all the knowledge that so many people go under with like bad information. And I've lost hundreds of thousands in the beginning because I didn't know what I was doing. So a place to go that you're not only learning and have community, but you're not making severe mistakes. So you're building a business for yourself. And ultimately, mainstreaming this as a resource. So I'm passionate about this career. I absolutely love it. I love teaching it. I love doing it. I love everything about it. And it's shocking that it has become popular just in the past 10 years, really, even though we've been doing it for much longer. Now it's more accepted. People are really looking at it as a career, as a serious career.
Yeah. And not only that, but singles aren't feeling that stigma that used to be attached to it. 20 years ago, there was somewhat of a stigma for singles to come to us. And now I think because it's out in the media, because it is an established career and profession, and people see it on TV, they see different things in the world of matchmaking. So they're more accepting of it. And I think we have a lot more clients because of that.
That's huge. What's so interesting is, love her or hate her, Patty Stanger's show kind of started the mainstreaming of matchmaking. and taking away the mystery of it. Not that it's totally realistic of what she does, but it gives some insight. And so people will contact us saying like, either I hate her, I want to do it, but differently than her. I love her, I want to do it like her. Or I want to hire a matchmaker because, you know, I'm now aware of the resources. And so I think that that kind of mainstream, but also acceptable and not shameful thing. You know, it's like, why would people feel shame over using a matchmaker when we utilize experts? It's almost like a luxury to utilize experts in every area of our lives. Like, I just hired a bookkeeper on top of my accountant. And like, how much is life easier, and what's more important than relationships? So it's just really continuing to create the education to the public, which we do at the Institute as well. We really let singles know how to shop around for a matchmaker and what a matchmaker offers. I wrote a couple books on it as well. But it's just, we are shamed into thinking that we need to be an expert in this area of our lives when we're not an expert in any other area. You know, it's crazy. So I agree with you, and I also think that the fact that, yes, people go to a matchmaker, but the fact that people can actually think of this as a real career, where when they graduate from us, they get a seal that they're a certified matchmaker that they put on their website linked to the code of ethics. And so if a person's coming in and looking at different people, they're like, wow, this person belongs to an international community that follows a code of ethics, collaborates, and there's accountability. So it's so much of a non-brainer in terms of what direction to go, rather than kind of like, oh, I'm gonna try and do things on my own. What do I do? And you end up spending so much more time and money when you're trying to piecemeal things together. So it really is the creation of something similar as the masters and the licenses that we got in social work. So it's fabulous.
It is. And, you know, I've done a couple of lives with Arlene talking about the Miami training, and we're both super excited for that. But I do have to say, Lisa, you are for sure my superhero in matchmaking.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you. Coming from you, that's actually really awesome, because a lot of times people that have been in the industry as long as you are not open to that connection. And I so appreciate it, because unified, there's so much more for us.
And it's so important because, you know, you brought dignity to it. You brought accountability to the industry. You know, you're making people behave in a certain way, and, you know, you're providing that community for new people to really feel that connection and collaboration, so that they're not out there alone. Because I know that feeling. I know what it was like 15, 17 years ago. It was not easy when you're standing by yourself in this world. And, you know, having associated myself with you and Arlene and Rachel and, you know, all the other matchmakers that I collaborate with, it's a wonderful feeling. And I really think you had a lot to do with pulling it all together.
Thank you so much. It is kind of funny and ironic if you think about how lonely the matchmaking career could be. Like, you think, oh, you're the belle of the ball, you're everywhere. But yes, but how about when you're sitting matching people and thinking, oh my God, what's the best thing to do? I always am like talking to everyone, hey, in this situation, what do we do? And we have like the largest in the world group for love professionals on Facebook. And I think that like that level of community where you're sharing resources and ideas absolutely takes away that isolation, and that it feels like there's a roller coaster going on. And when you're in the downward spiral, you actually connect with people, you know, and it resolves issues, and it really, it's amazing. And it's these meetings and these classes that we do and all that, like, I feel like I'm alive in a way that nothing else could make me feel. Like I feel like on 1,000 pots of coffee in a positive way. Like it's unbelievable. And the inspiration that we give to each other, I just think you'll see when we go to Miami, it's unbelievable. The the inspiration that each of us give to each other, and to be with people with such commonalities, you know, in this career. It's like, but we all do this strange career that's now becoming popular. How did that happen? So community is key, and I so appreciate your accolades to me. Thank you.
No, I think it's wonderful. And the other thing I wanted to mention too is, I'm going to be helping you guys out with the masterclass before I date in Miami. And the fact that you are hands-on, that you're going to be there personally, you're going to be training these students that are taking the Miami course, it is just phenomenal. Most big industries, big businesses, they would delegate most of that teaching. But you actually go to these actual places, get people together, bring them into a group setting, and go through your course, and you are there with them. And it's just amazing that you give it so much of your heart and soul.
Thank you. It's a huge priority for me, because I feel like it really changes the world and it changes individuals. And so many people come up to me and just are like, just inspired to change their lives. And I so get that. Like, what would have happened if they didn't come? And so these live trainings are really interesting, because they have it's a 3-day live training. And the first 2 days tends to be for people who want the certification and don't have any experience, or someone who has experience but wants to learn more and integrate. And then the third day is a master class where it's a lot of experts talking about key topics that matchmakers who have all the experience in the world might not know, and sharing that information. And so it's a really amazing time to not get one teacher, but you get a whole group of teachers that are there with different types of perspective and knowledge. So it's beyond a gift of individualized attention and connection and so much assistance. So we've had people come that have had 20 years plus experience that were stuck and have changed their business models and are now flying. And so no matter whether you have no experience or all the experience in the world, I feel like that inspiration and brainstorming with such a group of experienced people is phenomenal. I really do. And I love being in that environment.
I was just so honored when Arlene asked me to participate in that. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. It's really cool. And I think also the great thing is that they're like, we try and do ongoing support year round. So it's not like you're going through a training and then you're tossed out. It's like, how do I connect with this whole industry and whole community internationally and continue to learn when I'm stuck? And it's funny, like, you could think you learned everything and then you're like, oh my God, what did they say about this? What did they say about that? In each step of the way. So we're really trying to like have at least 2 to 3 in-person trainings and master classes a year. And then this conference every year in New York in April, and then in the fall in London. And it's just, I feel like I will forever want to go to these, because I feel inspired for like 6 months. I'm like on this high, like I'm going to change the world. And I'm like, when's my other fix? Miami needs to come faster. Woo! So it's phenomenal. It's really lucky.
Well, I am just so glad that you gave us the time to speak today. And I know that you have a webinar coming up on Monday. There is a link above us if anyone is interested in learning more about the Matchmaking Institute and a career in matchmaking. Feel free to click on that link and jump on board on the webinar. And I also did leave a link up there, Lisa, for the Institute's website, so people can check that out as well. Is there anything in closing that you would want people to know about what we do and, what's going on in the world of matchmaking?
Well, I think that there's a lot going on. There's a lot of technology balanced with personalized help. And I think that the online dating companies are desperately trying to figure out the secret to personalized attention, but nothing will replace matchmaking. So I truly believe that this is a forever generating job and career. And I know that like in these discussions, we talk a lot about the general career and the inspiration, but what will be interesting about Monday or any of our little teleconferences about the world of matchmaking is we go into more detail, like what's the day in the life? Like what skills do you need to learn? And it's a business, and it's a really serious business, you know? So yes, you could believe in love and all this, but you really have to learn the business, the day-to-day business. What tools do you need? What information do you need? And what skills should you have? You know, so I think that the balance of talking to you, and it's always really fun talking about this. I could talk about it forever. But combined with an offering of a teleclass where people could actually go and look at the business end of it, then it becomes a decision. Does this make sense for you for a career? And I just can't recommend it enough, honestly. Like, I think that it's the future. I think it's international. I think it's independent. It's entrepreneurial. It's cutting edge. It will be forever learning, like about relationships and what works, what doesn't work, and it builds a lifelong community. I mean, there's nothing more important than that. So I just so highly recommend it, and I'm so excited to be doing all these trainings and connecting with people and answering questions.
Well, I am just honored that I get to be a part of it at the end of the month in Miami. I am excited to spend time with everyone and looking forward to all of it. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Lisa at any point in time. I'll go ahead and throw some email things up in the comments so you can contact us. And join us on Monday for the webinar. See if this is something for you, because if you're not really happy with what you're doing right now and you are a people person and you want to help people and you think this is fascinating, just wait until Monday, listen to the webinar, hear what Arlene and Lisa have to say on Monday, and then make a decision, because it is a big decision, but it is something that I cannot say I regret one bit. This career and this path was just amazing. It always has been, and it always will be.
And you know what's interesting too is it's always terrifying to jump into something. Like being an entrepreneur is like, oh my God, it's so scary. But the people that say, you know what, I have more to gain than lose, I'm going to jump into it and explore, they're the people that become the entrepreneurs and the successful matchmakers. So it's literally saying, okay, I could come up with a ton of excuses of why I'm not going to explore this, but then ultimately you're like, I'm going to jump in, and it's like, I can't even imagine if I hadn't done that. And it's the same for both of us. Like, why did we end up here? And thank goodness we did.
Yes.
So I think that the fact that people will jump into something where they're saying like, wow, this sounds fascinating, I want to learn more, really shows a huge aspect of risk and entrepreneurship. So I think it's a combination. When people go for it, they go for it.
That's so true. It's kind of like dating. When you know the time is right, you go for it, you jump right in.
Yeah, and who are the people that end up in successful relationships? The ones that are the most open-minded. They'll take a risk and say, you know what, I'll give it a shot. Who knows? Good evening.
Absolutely.
The best, scenario in the worst case scenario. You get married or you have a good evening. How bad is that?
It's easy peasy, right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you again for your time, Lisa. You are definitely my superhero, and I look forward to seeing you at the end of the month. I'm sure we will talk before then, and I'm serious, you guys watching out there, give this a listen, see what it's all about, and let me know if it's for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Denise. I really appreciate it. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Bye.